welcome everyone tonight. And I don't know, I was thinking this today. I just wanted, is it okay if I tell you that I love you guys? Is that all right?
Yes.
It's better than the alternative, right? This world needs a lot more love, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so I don't know. I just, one of the things I love about practice is being around people. I'm a people person, and you know, sometimes I think I love my job more than I should. It's just a blessing to be with people all day long and helping people and watching people improve and changing people's lives and educating, which that's what we're going to do tonight. All right. So, what got me on this diet? It's not a diet. It's just the way I eat. You know, I don't like the word diet because it sounds so restricted. You know, I got to be on a diet, and that's the last thing I want to be is restricted. And everybody used to think I was some kind of vegan or something. Do I look like a vegan?
Yeah.
Seriously, do I? Who said yes?
No.
I mean, because of my, you know, because I'm in health or something. And I think being a vegan is not that healthy, to be honest with you. I think it's good for you. I mean, I wish I could just eat plants. But then the plants don't want to get eaten either, you know? It's like, it's a plant or an animal, you're going to have to eat something, right? You can eat protozoans. I guess they're kind of in the middle, right? I eat some amoebas or something, or parameciums. All right, so eat like a rhino, look like a cougar. I think I changed that. That should be changed. That has a double connotation these days. So I'm trying to be a little bit more PC, okay? But I am going to admit, Marianne, wasn't that? She's shaking her head back there. All right. I can tell I got a good crowd tonight. Very interactive, rather than the crowds that are like, okay. And nobody's ever fallen asleep during one of my workshops, which I'm proud to say, because I think they'd be afraid that it hit them in the head or something. All right. So back to the carnivore diet. Okay, so I started this, I went to Costa Rica last November, and I said I'm going to do the carnivore diet now, because it's really easy to do it down there, because you got fish, there's meat at the store, chicken. I don't like chicken, but we'll talk about that. And then there's plenty of fruit. So I'm kind of doing a hybrid, because that's what does everybody know Saladino? He's the carnivore MD, right? So he is the one that I started following, and I read his book, and his book's great. It's kind of heady. Some of it's heady. Right, Marianne? You said it was very heady, so she got me into reading. But I'm a chemistry major, so that kind of stuff intrigues me. And, you know, what's the hardest part for me? It's not hard. It's just I came to the realization that I've been wrong all these years. But the thing is, at least I've changed over the years, because I've been studying nutrition since the 70s, back when even my professors, I was telling Mary Jane this last night, that even my professors thought nutrition was quackery. And then I said, well, great, then maybe I'll get into another profession which is considered quackery, which is chiropractic, you know? You know, that's what my mom thought I was wasting my life, as I said many times. So I've always been into nutrition, and back then it was, you know, surfers were into kind of the macrobiotic diet, brown rice, vegetables, and fish. You know, I used to eat tons of swordfish, and that's probably why my brain is loaded with what?
Mercury.
Mercury. And aluminum too, but that's for something else. We won't talk. We don't want to get we don't go down too many rabbit holes tonight. Sometimes I scare people, which is easy to do these days. All right, so let's flip the chords here. All right, so who's not on our email list? Come on, put your hands up. Be brave. Okay. Roman's on. Okay. Okay. And so we have a newsletter that goes out, so you'll be informed of all our workshops, all the specials that we have. I was going to have a taco, but I don't want to talk with my mouth. Come on in. We have plenty of room. Oh, you made it. I was counting on you. Good afternoon. All right, good. All right, so get on that email list. All right, so let's talk about this. I don't know who I was talking to earlier, but I think was it Colleen that said this? Or no, it wasn't Colleen. It was somebody else that said they want to have a lot of energy like me. I think that was Janine. I'm not supposed to say people's names. I'm sorry. I'll say patient A, patient B. HIPAA compliance, right? She said she wants to have a lot of energy like this 65-year-old man up here that has no hair and is bow-legged and all the other things, all my other attributes like that. And, you know, she came to the realization it's not just nutrition, because everybody thinks if they eat right that they're healthy, right? I mean, I've seen a lot of people that eat right and they're like, go to Mother's. You know what I'm talking about? You walk through that store and some of those people look like death warmed over. You know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to figure out a nice way to say that. But they just don't have any like vibrancy or color to them, and it's just, I think people have been kind of hoodwinked into this whole thing about what's healthy and what's not healthy. And even I did. I mean, I remember I was teaching you guys to juice turmeric, which is probably one of the worst things that you can do. And we'll go over that in a few minutes. Hi, Harry. Glad to see all my good friends are here tonight. I love it. So it's all, there's a big wheel, and there's different spokes in the wheel. Nutrition's just one of the aspects in there. I'm really big on what? Exercise. I am so fortunate that I have a sport called surfing that keeps me motivated to do what I do. I mean, I'm addicted to surfing to a point where I'm obsessed about having to do it really almost every day if I could. Grounding. I'm doing the grounding when I'm in the water. I usually will take my shoes off. Is it okay if I take my shoes off? I didn't wear a tie today either. I feel like I'm slouching it today. So, okay. Grounding. This is super important too. Like the last time we did the carnivore workshop, immediately following that, I did the detoxification workshop. And some of us, like Kurt and a few other patients, actually we did the detoxification together. Kurt was amazing with it. This one's super important. This is the one that probably saves me, is that gratitude. Like when you start going, does anybody ever get stinking thinking? Or I'm the only one? You know, like the world's gonna end and, you know, nobody loves me, you know. Yeah, so just go through and, like, I give thanks to God every day for things like oxygen. Just think if there was no oxygen, how bad a day it would be. Just think if you didn't have any clean water to drink. Just think if we didn't have food or a roof over our heads. So you can give all that back to God to kind of keep you, like, be happy and be positive and you know, keep that stuff in the forefront of your brain. What's this one stand for? Balanced ECS, endocannabinoid system, which was something that, I'm from the 70s, okay, and I didn't understand all this stuff about cannabis science and how it was being used medically, and then I started doing the research. I go, wow, there's more research on this stuff than any other plant on the planet. So I do a whole workshop on cannabis and then using medicinal mushrooms. 40% of synthetic drugs that the pharmaceutical industry makes are really just synthetic derivatives of chemicals found in mushrooms. So, but what they don't understand is God made this perfect plant with all the other chemicals in it. So there's this synergistic effect of all the chemicals, the bioflavonoids, the essential oils, and everything that's in plants to give it its overall effect. But they think it's just the CBD molecule or whatever molecule is in that mushroom that gives it its effect. This saves me too. How many went to the breathwork workshop? Okay, good. You guys use it or? Okay, so I do the breathwork every day. In fact, I did Wim Hof twice this morning. It was a rough morning, so I did that. And this is one that I need to work on. It's the meditation one. Dr. Joe is good with the meditation. He's kind of a very, you know how Joe is. He's very cruiser. I'm high strung, right? Okay. And then the one that, like, this is what happens. I had a lady bring her grandson in the other day. You know, he's probably 10 years old, and I'm adjusting the kid, and I'm asking the grandmother, well, who's your chiropractor? She goes, oh, I don't have one. I don't need one. And I'm thinking to myself, I don't think people understand what we do. The problem is most people wouldn't know if they needed one or not, because everybody thinks if you don't have what, you don't need a chiropractor. Yeah, if you don't have pain, you don't need a chiropractor. But the reality is, what chiropractic really does is it basically just turns up the juice in your body. So if you're functioning way down here, we just turn the juice up so that your body has a higher vibrancy. Because you don't get, like, I don't know who was talking earlier, but they have their hand soap or that disinfectant stuff that kills all the microbiome on their hands. You don't get sick from bugs. Does everybody understand? You get sick because you're low vibrancy from all the factors that if you're anything in your lifestyle is out of line, then it's going to contribute to a down regulation of your immune function. Everybody gets that point, right? It's not the seed, it's the what? Soil, right? So when you get sick, it's probably your fault by not playing by the rules. So we're going to go through some of the rules on eating tonight, all right? And then the one that I have the biggest challenge with is what? The one I didn't talk about. Sleep! I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning last night. I don't know, have they cranked those EMF towers up? Or, there's 2 of them by my house, Right, Doug?
Oh, yeah.
They've cranked them up, haven't they?
A bunch of them.
Yeah.
I felt it like about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I
So,
get up at 4.
I wake right up, and it's like, and then I think I'm going to go be out. So I lay in bed for 4 hours counting sheep. Why don't we count sheep? Why don't we count dogs or something else? Why is it sheep? Okay. I guess because they're pleasant creatures, okay? So here's the real gig. I think with this eating style, not diet, it's not so much the fact that you're just eating carnivore. I think if we just got back to eating what? Food, and stop eating crap like the stuff they sell at the fair. Anybody go to the fair and eat like deep fried, chocolate covered Michelin tires or whatever? So your body, like, you wouldn't put like the wrong fuel in your Ferrari, would you? Because you guys are all Ferraris. Maybe you're a Prius. I don't know what you might be. You might be a Prius. You might be. Don't be a Tesla though, right? It's right. That's right in your microwave. Okay. Right, Doug? That's my EMF guy. All right.
Isn't the Prius the same thing?
Yeah, probably not as bad. Just go for a ride with the gauge in the car. You'll be kind of alarmed by what you see. Okay, so stop eating stuff that is processed by man and eat stuff that was created for you by God. And see, your body needs that clean fuel that it recognizes. It doesn't recognize Twinkies. It doesn't recognize, what else? Name something else.
McDonald's fries.
McToilet. I call it McToilet is what I call it, okay? Fries. Fries are super synthetic. So those, especially, we'll talk about the seed oils too, all those things contribute to things like inflammation in the body, like I was talking to Danielle about earlier. So start eating, like, you know the difference between an apple and a Twinkie, right? Or you know the difference between a nice big juicy 80-20 burger, right? Versus
Beyond Burger.
Beyond Burger. I was going to say the same thing. All right, so there's 3 books that I'm going to reference and 3 books that I recommend. Excuse me. Got a frog in my throat. A carnivore frog. So Plant Paradoxes was the first book that I ever read, and that book discusses what?
Plants.
And lectins, right. So I read that book. I was actually in Costa Rica on that trip too. And I realized that we have these inflammatory things called lectins in plants. So I started alleviating all the plants that were high in lectins, okay? And then I read this book right here. Well, actually I read this one next, but we'll get to that one. By Sally Norton. And she talks about what? Oxalates, which are, again, inflammatory, but they also cause your spine to grow spurs and cause it to degenerate, become arthritic. It causes kidney stones, gallstones. It just basically calcifies your body and just makes you rigid, and especially gets your arteries and veins. So it's important for us to get the oxalates out. It just causes a lot of pain. And then I read Carnivore Code by Paul Saladino. I watched a lot of his videos before I put this workshop together, and I was really intrigued about what I was learning, because I've always, who doesn't like a fat steak? Is there anybody who doesn't like a fat steak? A fat steak. Okay, a steak, a ribeye steak.
Oh, sure.
Okay. A fat ribeye steak, okay? Thick, exactly. Or, I love fish. I'm not a big fan of chicken, but I'll eat it once in a while. I very rarely will eat pork. In fact, I threw some bacon out the other day, and I felt really guilty about throwing that bacon. I should have fed it to the raccoons. They would have probably eaten it. I have a whole farm in my backyard now, because you have a compost pile, and everybody shows up for the compost pile. Okay? So I read through that book, and he discussed the same thing about oxalates. He talked the same thing about lectins. He talked about other phytotoxins that are in plants that cause humans to have all the maladies that they have. So we're going to go through that now. If you feel healthy today, you will probably feel healthy tomorrow. Get an amen on that. So a lot of you are doing great right now, but I want you to do better, okay? And you can always feel better. So somebody asked Paul, or that's his name, right? Paul Saladino. How come he never wears his shirt on his podcast? And you know what he said? And it was a great answer. He goes, "You can't buy that. That's it, man. You can't. You can tell a book by its cover when it comes to your body. You can see people that, you know, don't look as good with the clothes off as they do with them on. Okay, so the objective is to really strive to get in the shape that you want to get in, and this is probably the easiest way of eating to get you to where you need to go. Okay, I have a couple of people that wanted to do testimonials. Kurt, you want to do a quick testimonial? I was the other day, we were going, because we take extra pictures of you guys before you become patients, and we saw a picture of him, and he doesn't even look like the same person anymore. So why don't you give a quick testimonial?
Yeah, when you brought the car, I've been trying a lot of things. I came here to get healthier, not for any pain, actually. And I've just been taking tips from, eating things, trying different things, and I picked on the carnivore thing. And I would say, it's hard to know. I was losing weight already before I started, but I'm 65 pounds lighter than I was when in my worst, and I'm probably at 40 of that at least. Since doing carnivore, I kind of do a modified carnivore. I
Right.
do the fruit thing like you do, but I also eat a lot of fermented foods as well for for gut health. But that's pretty much it. And I intermittent fast too.
Yeah, and you get adjusted.
And I
So
get-
the
and I
thing
get
is,
adjusted.
most people understand getting adjusted revs you up, then your metabolism speeds up. It's easier for you to lose weight. There are a lot of times people have low thyroid function, and they wonder why they can't lose weight. Well, you got to rev the body up. You got to get the Ferrari running on all 12 cylinders. You can't be running on 4 or 5, 6 cylinders. You got to get the whole thing working.
And the big thing really too was the seed oils.
Seed oil.
Seed oils was huge, and you think you're doing it because of the way you're cooking, and you're not. If you're eating stuff out of boxes, or even if it's not your main meal, like you're eating whatever it is, a snack or something like that, it's in everything.
Right.
It's in absolutely everything, and
Right.
you can't. If you're not eating real food, you're probably eating seed oils.
Right. And we shouldn't be eating anything out of boxes, though, right?
Right,
folks?
that's
Okay.
the thing. But it's easy to think, I'm just having dinner. I'm gonna have this, even if it's a healthy snack or
Right.
all that healthy things in boxes,
Gluten-free.
Right,
Free
all the propaganda and the brand, yeah.
Non-GMO.
Right, exactly.
Crackers. Okay.
All right.
All right, so I figured if he can do it, I can do it. Okay. So. And this was before I started. I'm actually leaner than this now. Okay. You can actually see a little bit more definition in my gut, and that's what I live. I live for you guys because I love my job. I love my job. I love my job. Thank you, God, for picking me to be a chiropractor and all my brothers. But again, this is what I live to do. You guys know how I do it. I work really hard and then I blast out and go somewhere. So, and I want to stay in shape so I can still ride a short board, not be, And I'm always the oldest guy in the water. You got these 16-year-old punks that, paddle circles. But then it comes back to this. Patience, grasshopper. I just wait, and I wait. And sometimes I'll wait a friggin' hour, and then that set will come, and it's got my name on Billy D. And nobody's going to... everybody knows that I've been waiting for that wave, and nobody ever drops in on me. They have the respect for it. At least most kids do, so these days. All right, so that's the story about the physique. All right, so let's talk with the carnivore, as you said, kind of a hybrid. I had sauerkraut for lunch today. The big thing, like I was talking with Danielle, is it decreases inflammation. Inflammation causes what? Weight gain. It also decreases autoimmunity issues. When you're eating stuff that your body doesn't recognize or doesn't like, your body's going to create an immune response to it. We know that certain foods will do that to people, right? We know that certain medical procedures will do that to some. I'm being good tonight. Medical procedures will do that to people. Your brain fog is also, that's probably just from the inflammation in your brain. Increased energy, right, Janine? We want more energy, so we're going to do things to increase our energy. And obviously, if we increase your energy, your immune system's going to go up. And we're doing that by decreasing the phytotoxic load. So, carnivore-ish diet lowers inflammation, weight gain, and inflammation. I just said that. All right, let's talk about this. and don't get caught up on the evolution word. God created us, but the thing was, our brains became the biggest when we started eating what? Meats. So, I'm not saying anything about not eating meat. I'm just saying your brain needs all those fatty acids and proteins and enzymes that's in the meat. All right, this was interesting. I saw this too. Decline in human health during Neolithic revolution. So prior to the pre-agricultural revolution, when we were not farming like we are and we weren't eating plants as much as we were a lot taller. And then as we went more of a plant-based diet, we actually got shorter. Even they've done studies on tooth decay, enamel loss, bone lesions. So again, eating a more plant-based diet has its drawbacks as far as your overall expression of health. All right, so this is the gist of it right here. All right, plants, like, what's the difference between you're eating a plant or an animal, right? So it's people, I don't want to kill animals. Well, the same thing is you don't want to kill plants either. I love plants. I talk to my plants. Do you guys talk to your plants? I got these 3 king palms. They're kind of trying to nurse them back to health. You guys are doing it. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. And I adjust them real gently on the side. So the plants don't want to get eaten. Can I get an amen on that? Does anybody else in here want to get eaten? Okay, so what they do is they put toxins there to prevent pests from eating them. Okay? Like if you look outside, all those trees, there's not like locusts eating them. There's not molds all over it because the fact that they have what? They have that natural vibrancy that they need to resist pests. Like, who's the biggest pest on the planet? Us, right? Name a bigger pest than us. So the leaves make the energy. It takes all that energy from the sun, right? And that's how we get our energy in us. The plants make that energy for us. The roots store the energy. The stems transport the energy via glucose, and the seeds are going to be the next generation. So the plants don't want us eating that part, but they do want us to eat the fruits. Because you'll take like a peach, right? You eat the peach and then you're not going to eat the seed, you just throw it out in the garden. Or you would eat something that has seeds in it, and then when you defecate, that's a good word, right? You defecate the next day, the seeds are already in this little pile of fertilizer. So it's a symbiotic relationship that we have with plants as far as the fruits are concerned, okay? So the phytotoxins that the plants have are isothiocyanates, polyphenols, salicylics, and oxalates, and lectins, okay? So like some of these things were, a lot of times you'll hear in the health world that these specific chemicals have positive benefits. I'm sure they do, but also they have negative attributes that need to be addressed. All right, so which plants are high in oxalates? Well, let's look. What was I juicing every day? I was juicing turmeric. And
Spinach.
I didn't juice spinach. But I ate a lot of spinach. We all grew up thinking spinach was the best thing on the planet. Like, I don't know who said that the other day. They said they eat a lot of spinach. I go, that's probably the worst thing to eat. There was some movie star. Popeye. That's who it was. And Brutus ate the burgers. He was right on, right? There was some movie star, not Popeye, but some other movie star, that was doing all these spinach smoothies, and he was like 27, and he got all these radical kidney stones. That's
Hemsworth.
Is that who is it?
One of the Hemsworth boys.
Yeah.
that had that
So it's
happen.
just like
Yeah.
you can see it played out. And I remember when I was doing the turmeric extensively a lot. I would do it every day. Those big bags at Mother's, you know. I started actually feeling it in my back. I would feel like kidney pain from doing that, and so thank God I'm not doing that anymore. I hope I can clean all that stuff out. Rhubarb, almonds. So things that we thought were super healthy are other things. I mean, I used to do put cacao powder or cocoa powder in my smoothies. You already brought up French fries. I love cashews. I love raspberries. That's the one berry I don't eat very much of because they're expensive too, and they always have mold on them anyway. So, So all the, and that you want to stay away from the beans because they're what? Seeds. So that's why you got to limit your coffee too, which has been a really hard challenge. Okay. But don't these don't look like they'd be fun to have in your body, do they? Like little needles, okay. All right, polyphenols, you find those in, like, everybody thinks that resveratrol is good for you. You have curcumin, which is basically turmeric. You got flax seeds, which everybody promotes as healthy, right? Again, don't want to be eating seeds or eating seed oils, like, which is in everything. And what's the most common seed oil is what? Soybean oil, which is in there, and it's all genetically modified. Okay. Berries, even the blueberries and the strawberries, apples. I eat a lot of apples still, but again, you got to balance. You want to keep a threshold of like under 250 milligrams of oxalates. Keep it at least under that. The lesser the better, especially if you've had past prevalence of eating that food. All right, so here is spectrum of plant toxicity. So the least toxic fruit would be what? Avocados, squashes, right? Everybody thinks squash is a vegetable. It's got seeds. It's a fruit. The berries, the sweeter fruits are not going to be as good. I don't eat a lot of tubers. Is anybody tubers? I love potatoes. Who doesn't like the great baked potato with butter, sour cream, and chocolate? The nightshades are this group's the tough one. The nightshades are horrible for you. I can actually feel it. How many people can eat food and they can feel it the next day?
No.
Yeah.
I got a nightshade thing that happened to me.
Go ahead. Go through.
I used to cook chicken, and I would use these adobo peppers, and it started locking up my right knee. And I didn't know what it was for a while. I thought I was getting old or something. Anyway, and as soon as that chicken batch went away, because I was eating it for a week, about 3 or 4 days later, my knee started loosening up again. And then the next time I cooked that recipe again, it happened again.
Wow.
So it's like, no more.
You're done. What was the spice you were using?
It's adobo. It's like this. It's
Chicken
chipotle.
Chipotle.
Peppers.
Yeah, you want to stay away from almost every spice. The only one you can use is what? Sea salt. All right. So you want to stay away from the legumes, seeds. You want to stay away from grains and nuts. Okay. So, and then we're going to get. You look at a lot of people are iron deficient. So you're going to get the most iron from a good old steak, a T-bone steak there, chicken, liver. People like liver in here? Steven, you like the liver? I eat the liver too. Not a lot, just a little bit. Goes a long way, right? With a lot of salt on it. And then you can see how these plants like spinach, lettuce, soybeans have very low iron at all in it. Okay? Now, if you look at like beef liver here, as far as all these other nutrients are concerned, that's like the multivitamin of multivitamins. You know?
That's a superfood right
That's a superfood. So there's also those ancestral blends you can cheat. It's got liver and I think it's heart in it, ground up in beef. I do eat a lot of ribeye steaks. Okay. But the thing I'm starting to get concerned about, even with steaks, is the fact that I'm hearing things that they're putting specific things in the meat. Has anybody heard that before? Yeah, something that might cause spike proteins to grow in your body. I know that sounds probably like a conspiracy theory, but they would never do that to us. Why would they do that?
Those are doing pork for like years already.
All right, fish roe though. I love fish roe. Eggs. I eat a lot of eggs. I'll eat 4 eggs. Right? I love it.
Big part of my diet.
Yep. And then I love blueberries. I go to Mother's, and that's the only thing at Mother's that's cheap, right? Is they have the 2-for-1 on the blueberries. I'll buy 4 or 6 of those. What's that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with the meat and the organs. So I have a patient who's having kidney problems. I told him go to the butcher and see if you can get some kidney. Grind it up. That's what they do. That's what Standard Process does with a lot of their vitamins. Is if you're having a thyroid issue, they have animal parts thyroid from either a pig or a cow, and they grind that up and put that in the vitamin. So whatever organ. So most of us need what? A brain brain from an animal. You know, I don't know about you guys, but as I've gotten older, I need it. I don't know about you guys. I'm just being transparent here. And a lot of it has to do with just overall toxicity in the world. I mean, it's cumulative and it's getting worse as the days. So that's why you got to detox, because and that's why we're doing the brain workshop. Who's coming to the brain workshop? Anybody? All right. So this is not until September, so I know you guys can't wait for that one. So make sure you sign up for that. Okay. Next, fish, pork, chicken. I do a lot of raw dairy. I don't know about you guys.
Where do you get your raw dairy at?
I get it at Mother's, and it's expensive.
Sprouts carries it.
Yeah, Rouse has it too, but it's the same price there too.
Yeah.
And then I add some carbs to make sure to keep my hormones balanced. One of the things that Saladino was having problems with was sleep. He would have restless leg syndrome. Also his energy and his electrolytes were off. Now, I did blood work last week, and I wanted to bring that and show you guys, but they didn't get it to me in time, so I will see if I can make that available. If it's good. If it's bad, I won't put it. The only thing that was a little bit out of control last time was testosterone was a little too high, which is not a problem. And what they've done is they've shifted all the bell curves for everybody because everybody's not as healthy as they used to be. My cholesterol was high, which is the precursor to testosterone. So that's why you don't want to be taking statins if you get away with it. But your brain is also a lot of cholesterol. So if you're taking cholesterol statins, you're basically diminishing your overall growth hormone, sex hormones, testosterone, and also brain function in the long run. So what I do is I will eat a lot of berries. I eat a little bananas here and there. I love papayas. I love mangoes. Those were all the foods that I had when I was in Costa Rica. I didn't have berries. I don't have berries now, but I got frozen berries. Okay, but they have plenty of papaya and mango. And then one of the things to actually get the carbs up, the calories up, is I add honey to everything. And I've turned a lot of people on to that. I don't know, were you putting honey on your steak? Yeah, put honey on your steak. It's amazing. It tastes so good. Put a lot of salt on it. And you should salt your food up to your tolerance. At least that's what we're finding out. Most people don't get enough salt. So try that out. And you don't want to use junk salt. You use like something like Redmond sea salt, or there's all kinds of great, and vary it, because they have different mineral backgrounds. All right, so what do I drink? God, I'm boring. I'm so boring. I drink water, and then when I party, what do I drink?
Coconut water.
Yeah, I have a Coca-Cola, right? No, I don't drink Coke. That stuff's like death. I drink club soda. Party on, Wayne, right? And then, once in a while I have some coconut. I don't really drink milk that much. I've always thought that was kind of gross. It's not bad. But I use that in my smoothies and in my smoothies. I had 2 smoothies today, okay? You want to eat, like, remember it was always the fat was the bad stuff. I used to teach you guys that stuff, And the fat's the important part. And I don't know, as a kid, I always liked fat. I always doesn't everybody like the taste of fat? It tastes so good. And we always throw that part away. So you want to get a steak that's more marbled, or like I said, I eat a lot in fact, I got ground beef thawing out right now tonight. I'm probably going to eat enough tacos, though. I got 2 tacos over there, but last time there wasn't anything left. Yes?
So why cardiologists always recommend not to eat meat like that?
Because they don't know. Like I didn't know.
Well,
Because
they can see the arteries because they work with the arteries, and they say don't eat fat, don't eat salt, and because the fat and the salt and the calcium they clog the veins.
right.
And
But I think that's more from all the phytotoxins that we're eating, especially the oxalates that are doing that. That causes the calcification. So
But
the thing is, the whole science of eating has changed so dramatically over the years. You just kind of have to roll with it. And like I always tell people, I always tell you this, use your own body as a lab, see how it works for you. If you feel worse on it, then go back to what you were doing. But I want you, number one, just start eating no processed food. We'll talk about all the other things you got to eliminate in your diet as well. It's simple. This is so simple to follow, it's scary. Okay, and if you're not eating, like if you're eating low fat, you're gonna get this thing called rabbit sickness. Like when people would eat just rabbits because there's no fat on a rabbit, they would get sick from it and actually die from it. So you wanna make sure you get plenty of fat. So when you're buying the burger, don't get the 93.7. You know what the 93.7 is, right? You wanna get the 80/20. And it's usually a little bit more expensive now because everybody's learning about it, okay? Should I tell you my secret?
Of course.
Yes.
Okay, I buy all my steaks. Don't tell anybody. Grocery outlet, because I'm cheap. I'm telling you what, you get twice as much food for half the price. Okay, and they have grass fed. And again, who knows what grass fed means anymore these days? You know what I'm saying? Who do you trust anymore? But it's no. I mean, it's no different than buying stuff at freaking Mother's, and it's same thing. Okay, so. I'll save like $10 a steak if that's what it's like. You get 2 killer steaks for like $12 at Grocery Outlet. Those same two steaks would be at least $20+ at Mother's. The other thing, what's that?
What's the steroid though?
Oh, I don't know. Steroid?
Yeah.
You mean cholesterol?
Cheap meat generally means steroids, right?
Oh, they're throwing it with steroids.
Oh, I don't know. Or I'd have to check that out. I have no idea.
They have organic meat there.
Yeah, they do. They have everything there that they have everywhere else. They just get it like when it's close to expiring. And you don't want to buy the blackberries there, okay? Because usually you get home and by the time you drive home, they got mold on them. But that's a really good question back there. That's a great question. We'll talk about it later, and maybe you can help me figure that out, okay? I'll do some assays on it, some phosphoruses. All right. Red meat includes what? Beef, lamb. Lamb's great. Deer. You guys like deer?
Yeah.
Okay. Deer's gonna be a little leaner, right? And then bison. Fish. The problem with fish is what? We already discussed the mercury, but also all the microplastic. Who was I talking to the other? Oh, a guy in the water surfing. He does water assays up in Orange. And he was talking about they just cannot believe all the plastic that's in the water. So what do I recommend for that, folks? What do? You just...
Are you going to cover farm fish versus wild caught?
Yeah, of course we can. I was going to, but I can't. I'm big on water filtration. Remember, I was a chemistry major in the 70s, as I always joke, for the wrong reasons, but it turned out okay for me. I didn't get in a lot of trouble. And even what you bathe in it makes a big difference because your skin is your biggest organ. You're going to absorb all that same stuff. You want to drink out of glass, right? Like I was drinking some of those club sodas out of cans. You don't want to drink aluminum out of cans. Club soda out of cans, you get aluminum. So drink out of glass whenever possible. And so that water is even more filtered than this because you can't get the fluoride out with these tanks. You get most of it out, but not all of it. That's got all the fluoride out of it. You want to get your fluoride out of your water. You want to get the chloramines out of your water. You want to get everybody's pharmaceuticals out of your water. You want to get the microplastics out of your water. You want to get the uranium. You want to get all those chemicals. Glyphosate is in your water. If you don't believe me, just Google your city and look up water quality, and you'll see exactly what's in your water. That's why this is probably, I feel, the most important appliance you have in your house, other than a chiropractic table, okay? And having a chiropractic. And then the problem with pork and chicken is that they're all fed what? Soy. Now, the question about farm raised is, there's what? Antibiotics in the fish? What else was there?
Right. Well, the wild caught stuff gets to eat algae, which helps them have a higher omega-3 level, which is what we need.
Right.
And they're finding that farm fish have more omega-6s, which we don't need.
Which increases inflammation, right?
Yep.
So you want to have a high omega-3 to omega-3. It's just, it comes down, I mean, a wild fish is going to be happy too. It's going to live a good life.
Wild caught tastes better.
It does. But sometimes salmon that's farm raised tastes pretty darn good. A lot of sushi restaurants, that's what they serve because it has a higher fat content. Probably omega-6s in there too. Okay? Plus it's cheaper, all right?
Definitely.
All right, she's be eating about 1.3 grams per pound of body weight, so that means I should be eating a lot of grams protein. And then you want to eat 150 to 200 grams of carbs. If you're like being like at my job, I'm not sitting at a desk all day pushing a pencil. I'm moving bones today. Some of you guys are a lot of work. Yeah, in the back row back there's a lot of work. I'm talking about you. Yeah.
Is that
This is a very physical job, and then I go work out at the beach. Yes.
is that Saladino's recommendation on the carbs?
I think so.
Wow. Okay.
There's one of my appetizers right there. I mean,
At DeMoss.
yeah, it's so good. Just slice it and put a little sea salt on it. That's all it needs, man. I eat like really, really simple. Kurt's been over to my house for dinner a few times. It's just super clean, super simple. I don't eat like my grandfather. He was a big chef, right? He had radio shows, a TV show. He was on the TV with my grandmother. They were all about food, but they cooked food for taste and not for, health reasons. And my grandfather was 350 pounds. He was diabetic. He lost his vision, lost his feet, because food was his life, but he didn't eat the right foods. And he thought his grandson was crazy. But the reality was, you should eat food that God designed, that your body understands, and it's not all processed and synthetic. It doesn't have all the seed oils and all the other crap in it that's got. There's one of my typical dinners there. There's some halibut, right? So I cooked up the bacon first, right? This was amazing. And then I cooked the fish in the bacon grease.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff,
Mhm.
okay? And then it had a little papaya, and then one of my favorite fruits is obviously avocado, okay? And I'll put a lot of avocados in my smoothies to get that fat content up. I also put what in my smoothies? Raw eggs, 2 or 3 raw eggs in there. Everybody, I don't know, I don't worry about stuff. My body can kill all those germs in a heartbeat. All right, beef protein, 1.3 grams of protein per body weight. Part of it's because you want to make sure you're getting enough creatine. This decreases your aging. So again, eating enough protein, and the right protein will slow down the aging process. There's the ancestral blend right there.
Can you go back?
Oh yeah, sure. We can probably send you the slides if you want.
That'd be cool.
Okay. Grass-fed beef, not grass-fed, ground bison, and these has the ground bison. It's got the liver and the heart in there, so there you're getting it. You can buy it at Mother's.
And Sprouts.
And Sprouts. Where else? I've seen it somewhere else. It's not cheap though. It's like $13.99 for a pound of ground beef. Drink enough water. Okay, we just talked about that. Stay away from plastic bottles. That is not only bad for you, but it's bad for the environment. And let's go to the next slide. So snacks. Okay. Like my favorite snack now is something that I used to think was repulsive before. You know what I'm talking about? Like, who eats pork rinds, I mean, I always liked them as a kid, but I just figured out they're not. You don't like pork rinds, Colleen? Okay. They're really good. So, like you buy a bag of pork rinds at Mother's, it's $5. $5 for baked pork rinds. And then you go to grocery outlets, they're $2. Okay? So when they have, sometimes they don't have stuff in stock. When they have it in stock, don't buy all of it. Leave me some, okay? I eat a lot of raw cheese as a snack too. In fact, I had that this morning. I eat a lot of berries, especially blueberries, strawberries, and I eat some blackberries. Those are where I'm kind of like splurging on my oxalates right there, because blackberries are a little bit, they're the medium level as far as oxalates. I eat a lot of beef jerky or those little beef bars, like especially when I'm like snowboarding. Here's my secret: snowboarding. Sometimes, who snowboards in here? Anybody? Yeah, Steve. You get really hungry, and I don't like to take a break. I like to go all day, right? So I take those little dates, and I eat like one of those dates, and the sugar's just so intense. It's like you just ate this energy pill. But then the dates are also a little bit high in oxalates, so you don't want to eat too many dates in a day either. But again, if I'm snowboarding, I think I can burn that stuff off. All right. Okay, I make the best dessert on the planet. In fact,
Game changer.
But it's a game changer. You guys want to hear it?
Yeah.
It's simple. Cut up some mango. Don't you love mango?
Yes.
And you know, even buy it when they're firm, because they like right now they're ripening up in like 1 or 2 days, real fast. Cut up some mango, some papaya, load it up with blueberries, load it up with bananas. Oh man, I love bananas. What else did we put in there?
Strawberry.
Strawberries, blueberries, and then I put on those dried coconut. What is there something else I put in there?
Well, I like put honey on mine.
Oh yeah, if you want to take it to the next level, put honey on it. But I don't like to do that before bed. So then I take and grind up a bunch of pork rinds and dust the top of it. No, seriously. Everybody thinks it's going to be, like everybody I've turned this dessert on say it's the best dessert they literally ever had. And then, yeah, put the dried coconut on there. You know what, the dried coconut, you put that on there, it tastes amazing. And then you take raw cream and you just pour it, you just drip it over it. And it's like way better than any ice cream you've ever eaten because it tastes so clean and there's not a bunch of sugar in it, but it's God's candy, you know what I mean? And it's just, try it. Okay, I guarantee you, you'll have a bad cream habit after that.
That's expensive
And that
too.
cream ain't cheap. It's like $13 a bottle for just a little tiny bottle, you know? So I got like a,
Yeah.
I don't know, a $60 cream habit every month.
Plain.
But that's better than having other habits, right? I won't say what kind, but I'm talking about. All right. So you increase your carbs. I already talked about that with increased activity. So surfing takes a lot of energy. So I'll before I go, I'll eat a bunch of food. I'll eat eggs and bacon, and I even have a little of that Ezekiel bread toast with a lot of butter on it. And then when I'm going down to the beach, in my car, I have a smoothie. I drink a big fat smoothie. And then even before I go out, I even paddle out, I'll have an apple and a banana, okay? And then I make sure I do what? I take my magnesium. Because I get like you paddle for 6 hours, you get cramps. Like, can I tell you a story? I like stories. I was in Costa Rica, and I was getting really bad cramps because I forgot my magnesium. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And then out of the jungle, this guy walked out, and we were talking, and we're chatting about the waves and everything, and then I just said, I'm just getting these really bad cramps. I forgot my magnesium. Oh, I got some. You need some? And he gave me a whole bottle of magnesium. Isn't that funny how God works? He just shows up at the right time. Increased carbs with increased activity. So 100 grams of fruit. That's a lot of fruit, dude. Focus, mobility, ligaments, and tendon strength. And then, like, when the waves are not good, like the waves were insane on Sunday. And anybody look at the ocean? Everybody goes, I welcome those hurricanes. And then everybody thought it was like some geoengineered storm. I go, this is the way it used to be when I was a kid. The storms that always track right at us, now they all track out to sea. I like the ones that track at us. So those are the ones that push the waves our way. And the wind was blowing offshore. It was like a perfectly manicured landscape for surfing that God created for us that day. And everybody's like hunkered down. I don't know. I just thought it was funny that everybody. You guys watch too much TV, okay? So when the waves aren't good, which happens, I will do my beach workout, which is just do push-ups like I did some this morning. Do some crunches. Do some squats, right? I feel so good on your back too. Just stretch your back out, okay? I do pull-ups on the lifeguard stand, and then I do running in the deep sand, and then I take out some little dumbbells. I don't like to go to the gym. I'd rather be outside, checking out the seagulls and pelicans and dolphins as they go by, rather than being in some stinky gym like over at the YMCA, which is all moldy. Right? Anybody train there? One of the things that the fruit does is that as it ripens, the phytotoxins decrease, okay? And, eating bananas at that stage, they taste horrible anyways. I don't know why people would do it. I like bananas when they're like this. Okay? You like that too, Harry?
Yes.
Okay, good. Harry's at 90 years old, right, Harry?
Yep.
Can I say that without getting myself in trouble? I'm really worried about getting in trouble these days. Okay.
Not a chance.
And you love coming here, don't you?
You what?
You love coming here.
I was late tonight. I really am upset.
Okay. Well, did you get adjusted?
You what?
Did you get adjusted?
Not yet.
Well, I'll
They
get you
said
after-
you
I'll
might be
get you
available
afterwards.
later.
All right. So, long-term ketosis causes sleep disturbances, hormone issues, electrolyte imbalances, cause cramps, sleep issues, heart palpitations. These are all the things that Saladino was suffering from getting in ketosis and not having enough carbs in his diet. So that's when he transitioned into eating more fruits and adding the honey on there. So that's what I did from the very beginning, because I didn't want to go through all that to figure it out. He already figured it out for me, okay? Like I said, one of the things I get deficient in is magnesium. And I take a lot of magnesium. I take it before bed every night. I do calm every night. I do magnesium threonate in the morning for my brain. So I'm constantly, one of the things we learned at the last Freedom Crusade, who was there at the last Freedom Crusade? I know Kurt was. Colleen was there. Stephen was there. We talked about everybody is magnesium deficient. So if there's one vitamin you focus on, get more magnesium in your life. You get more sodium. And one of the things on my blood work that was low, almost deathly low, was my sodium. So then that's when I was jacked up my sodium. In fact, I actually had a 1 gram capsule of sodium or mineral salt today, just to keep my electrolytes going. And the potassium is also another thing that was deficient probably in my diet. So again, I eat more bananas. There's a lot of potassium in that. And I've been more religious about doing my multis, which is the Intramax that we sell here, which has got everything in it, okay? Smoothies, avocado, berries, half a banana. I don't like a lot of pineapple though. I love pineapple, but I really can feel the sugar in it. It's very high glycemic to me. I do raw milk, aloe juice, papaya mango. I also put BioSil in there. What's BioSil? It's a nutrient from Jarrow that helps accelerate the use of collagen in the body. It helps your body just use it better. And then I put a ton of vitamin C in there, and I'm not using just ascorbic acid. I'm using that food-based stuff that we have out here that's made from different berries and stuff. These foods are high in vitamin C, and then what they do is they extract the vitamin C from that. So you're eating a food-based vitamin. You're not eating a synthetic, right? And then, like I said, I put raw eggs in there. I'll put collagen in there. And maybe I would even put some honey. Yes.
What's Jarrow?
It's just a company, like Standard Process. Yeah. But that's the only, so it's got silica in it, right? Silica is what's in there that gives it the benefit and helps with collagen synthesis. There it is! Right there, the raw cream. That little bottle, I don't know how many ounces it is, but it's not a lot. It's like $13. I do have raspberries there, and here's the dates that I eat. So there's kind of a mini, that was before I was probably doing the whole carnivore thing
Oh, I'm
hardcore.
going to try it.
What's that? That fruit?
I'm going to try it. Yeah.
That's so good. Okay, so everybody concerned, I was concerned about it too. Is the fruit sugar going to cause my blood sugar to go off the rails? And that's the number one thing I wanted to check when I did my blood. And you should do your blood work regularly, at least once a year, to see where you're at with stuff. Okay, it can also help you tune yourself up even more. So sugar and fruit does not affect insulin resistance, and neither does the honey, because there's enzymes in the honey that actually counteract the effects of the insulin on. So processed sugars, seed oils, decrease insulin resistance. So again, you want to, we'll get into what things you need to eliminate in your diet. We've already talked about everything that you should eat, which is basically meats, organ meats, fish, pork, chicken, raw, or eggs, and then milk, right? Those are your, and then honey, which is another animal product, okay? So the foods high in glycemic are all the crap. The crap! That's all the fair food over here, right? Okay. Here's the stuff that's low. All the stuff that, you know, the fish. We got some berries in there too. That's good. I don't know if that's a peach, but that looks like a cucumber. Some mushrooms, medium. The pineapple's in there. The berries are definitely the banana's going to be high, or medium high. Okay. So that's why usually in my smoothies I'll just put a half banana in there. All right, total testosterone decreases with time-restricted diets. Okay, so everybody does the intermittent fasting, which I think is great, but then it's also going to be counterproductive to testosterone over time. And that's one goal of everybody wants to have higher testosterone. Because as you lose testosterone and your testosterone gets lower, you just lose your whole drive and your physicality as a male. So raising that up gives you more energy, keeps your physique the way you want it to be, rather than the other way. Okay? And you can also, if you don't want to, what are you laughing about, Jeannie? The testicle supplements? So what they do is, yes.
So are you saying like an intermittent fasting?
Yeah. And I still do it. I do it like Mondays and Wednesdays because I'm just too lazy to make breakfast in the morning. And I've been cutting coffee. I told you guys that earlier, right? Because coffee's a what? It's a bean. It's a seed, okay? This is what I do now. You're going to laugh.
I gotta do that.
I make chamomile tea for breakfast. And I mix my bulletproof with that, with collagen in there too. I'm not getting the same jolt that I would get from the bulletproof coffee, okay? All right, so yeah, if your testosterone is low, like I was saying, like if you're having thyroid issues, you would eat some supplement that's got thyroid in it, or from an animal. Or if you're having kidney problems, you would eat kidneys. And if you're having low testosterone, you can have testicle supplements, okay? Or you could actually, there's videos of him actually eating the testicles. Okay. I'm not sure what they taste like. They probably taste like what? Almonds or something? Or walnuts?
Oysters.
Oysters!
Rocky Mountain oysters.
You know, you probably had them before, right, Bob?
Yes, sir.
All right, so effects of 8 weeks of time. So yeah, we can see with 8 weeks of time-restricted feeding on basal metabolism, maximum strength, body composition, inflammation. Basically increases inflammation, decreases body composition, and lowers your strength over time. So again, I just learned this myself, so I'm kind of transitioning in that direction. Eliminate coffee. Oh my God.
Wow.
I've given up everything in life. You know what I mean? Does everybody agree with me on that? I don't know. I went through the 70s. It was a good time, but you can't do that stuff anymore. You know what I'm saying? I gave up alcohol. I gave up all the bad stuff. You guys know what I'm talking about. Gave up sugar. I have to give up coffee now. I gave up bread. Why live, right?
Really?
Yes.
How does the mushroom coffee compare?
I think there's things in the mushrooms that help counterbalance the negative effects.
I mean, does it taste?
It tastes great.
Yeah, it tastes good.
Yeah. I think it tastes better, actually. And I think it helps neutralize that. Because when I drink, I don't know about you guys, when I drink coffee, my blood sugar just goes, and then all of a sudden I'm hungry, right? I need to eat something. So I think what the mushroom coffee does is it minimizes that glycemic shock that you're getting from the coffee. Caffeine, what? Worsens your insulin resistance. That's why I feel the way I do when I drink coffee. And there's also what? Mycotoxins on all. That's why you want to get some good coffee that doesn't have mold in it, which mycotoxins are a fancy word for mold, okay, which can cause things like cancer. And remember, coffee beans are just dry roasted seeds. The plant does not want you to eat. The seeds is what they protect the most, right? Because that's the next generation. What does this say? Systematic review of randomized controlled trials of effects on caffeine or caffeinated drinks on blood glucose concentration. So it basically says the same thing. Caffeine screws up your insulin system, so it can push you more towards a diabetic. So one of the things I wanted to check was my A1C. I wanted to see what my resting glucose was at. I wanted to see all that stuff because I've been eating a lot more fruit than I ever did. I mean, I told you guys not to eat fruit, remember? I said you could have berries and avocados and the ones, the not sweet ones like squash and stuff. Caffeine ingestion before oral glucose tolerance, blood glucose management. Same thing. Basically, you know, caffeine's going to screw with your blood sugar and your insulin resistance.
And then you read that coffee is high in antioxidants and it prevents
Yeah, of
Parkinson's
course.
disease.
Right. There's probably good things about other things that we think are bad that we have good results with. I won't use like examples because that gets me in trouble. But there's going to be, you got to weigh the pros and cons.
Well, turmeric, right?
Yeah, turmeric's a perfect example. You know, there's foods that have a lot of great attributes, but then is it worth the detributes? Is detributes a word? I made that word up. So somebody had to make the words up, right? The words just didn't spontaneously generate. People think of that stuff. Detribute, opposite of attribute. Okay. So there's going to be foods, right? Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
It's your workshop.
Yeah, it's my workshop. It's my party. Okay, so what we're going to eliminate. This is where the rubber hits the road. Rubber hits the road. Okay, sorry. I had 4 hours of sleep last night. Those darn EMF towers. I think I need thicker tinning on my windows. Or something. Okay, or maybe I just need a Faraday cage to sleep in. What do you think? In fact, the other night I wore my EMF-proof beanie and sweatshirt and sweatpants to see if that would help. But my feet were out. Okay, who's laughing over it? No, nothing helps. Counting sheep doesn't help either. Okay, so gluten. You're not gluten sensitive. You're what? You're glyphosate. I can't even say glyphosate today. Glyphosate. It's just there's glyphosate on that stuff. Nightshade. What's that?
What food is gluten?
It's like bread. Anything with flour, wheat. They spray the living daylights with that stuff.
Like
With
pasta too?
pasta too. Unless you get almond pasta, but then you got to deal with almonds. See everything. Okay. This one, my grandmother. She was from. Yes, sir.
What about rice pasta?
It's better, probably, yeah. But rice is a seed too. But the problem, what's that?
It's not good for you?
Well, if it's a seed, the body doesn't want, or the plant doesn't want you eating the seeds.
Quinoa.
Quinoa. Okay. I'm not sure about quinoa. We'll have to look that up too. Okay. Is it a seed?
I don't know.
What is quinoa?
It's from South America. It's very good.
The thing that if you're gonna have rice, you want to eat. Believe it or not, we always used to think brown rice was the answer. No, you want to eat white rice because it takes off that milk. It mills all the crap off that's got all the toxicity in it. Okay. All right. So my grandmother was from Sicily, right? And she would make the best friggin' eggplant parmesan. I would go see her every Thursday. I would cook one week and she would cook the next week. Okay. Why is that funny? Okay, we were close, all right? And my grandmother wouldn't eat. She would just drink martinis and chain smoke cigarettes. Okay? Hey, she lived to be 88. I ain't gonna try to. That's the way. I'm not advocating you do that. I'm just saying that was what she did. Okay? And then for dessert, what would we have? She would have peppermint schnapps.
Cannoli.
What's that?
Cannoli.
Cannoli, but she made the best eggplant parmesan in the world. I guarantee I've never had any eggplant anywhere. And the thing was, when I found out that it was in the nightshade family, I said, I gotta stop eating eggplant. But then every once in a while I'll go somewhere and they'll have it on the menu. I go, I'll just try it, see if it's as good as Nana's. And it never is as good. Nobody made it as good as my Nana did. But then you feel like when you get cleaned out on the inside and you don't do any of this stuff and you put it back in, you're gonna feel it the next day. Like the other night we went and had sushi, and the next day my eyelids are like stuck to my eyeball. You know, I wake up like and you're all cotton mouth in the morning from all the sodium there. So your body gets super sensitive. You're gonna see how your body works. That's why use your own body as a laboratory. All right, we talked about the oxalates. You're gonna stay away from what? Processed sugar. It's not even sugar, is it? What is it?
Sugar.
It's high fructose corn syrup, which is sprayed with what? I'm yelling right now. I want you to
Pay attention.
I'm keeping you awake in the back row. The back rows, people are always sleeping back there, okay? Yeah, it's all sprayed with what? Glyphosate. The corn is sprayed. There's no good organic corn. Very little of it out there, all right? Unless you grow it in your own backyard. But then it's sprayed with what? Chemtrails. Okay. You can't get around this. And then you guys know they're bringing all the mask mandates back. You heard that, right? I think you taught me that. I'm excited. Oh, just go back. I love it. Go to the airport and just mess around with people all day. I won't even say what I'm going to wear. All right, seed oils. Okay, seed oils like Kurt was. Yeah, I don't want to say it. I'm trying not to alienate anybody tonight since everybody's not on my page or on this page yet. So it's got to slowly kind of bring them over. I'm being good tonight, right, Lynn? Okay, I haven't really dropped too much. Okay, the other thing we're going to stay away from was what? The artificial sweeteners, even stevia. Why? Because that kind of screws with the what? The microbiome in your gut. And that your microbiome is everything. That's why you shouldn't be washing your hands incessantly with that isopropyl alcohol or whatever is in that stuff. Your microbiome is your friend. Those are your friends. They're there cleaning up the dead cells. They're just keeping everybody happy. It's a symbiotic relationship. So it's also what? It's your 60% of your immune function. It makes a lot of the neurotransmitters for your brain. So you want to nurture those guys, not nuke them. What else we got in here? Get your A1C number checked. So that's the one thing I'm looking most for in my, and I also want to see what my sodium level's like. And my, like I said, fasting blood sugar. You can see it, if you're above 6.5, then you're purely diabetic. Guaranteeing it's not going to be that, but the thing is, if there's things that need to be worked on, you can work on that stuff. So my sodium was low. What did I start doing? I started salting the living daylights out of everything. I went to those, I had infusions with sodium and brought my sodium up just naturally by eating, you know? And you can do so I did the test again like in 3 weeks, and it was obviously way up from where it was before. Spices, we just talked about that. Spices cause autoimmune issues. Okay? So I just put salt. I'm like really simple in my life. Salt only. What's wrong? Like pepper?
I like all of it.
Yeah.
No salt.
Just be boring. Boring Bill, right? Or is Boring Billy, does that sound better? Boring Billy. Be like Boring Billy. Yeah. Just eat like liver with salt on it all day long. Eat it raw, and then I'm going to have it cooked tonight. And then I'll have a little sauerkraut with it, you know. And I'll have a couple berries afterwards. Okay. Review. We're done. Okay, hold on. Remove plant antigens. Okay? You want to decrease the autoimmune issues. You want to decrease inflammation. Your protein to fat ratio should be 2-to-1. So, yeah, the other night, I destroyed the steaks. It was raining, remember? Remember the big storm, Hillary? Why did they name it Hillary? I'm just kidding. They should have named it. They should have named it Biden or Joe or something. Okay. Add as much fat to everything as you can. So I cooked some steaks on the stove. I butchered those steaks. There's nothing worse than an overcooked steak. It's like eating an old shoe, okay? And I cooked it in butter, and I just don't know how to cook on the stove. I'm used to cooking on the barbecue. You just 2 minutes on this side, 2 minutes on that side. Still got a pulse when you're eating it. I like it really, really rare. I don't like eating steak well done. And it's healthier for you the rarer it is. Eat the connective tissues, the muscle meats. You also want to eat the organs and glands. But again, the connective tissues are going to be high in collagen. So here, you guys want another quick
It's really good. Yeah.
recipe? So skiing, right? I like to get oxtails. They have oxtails over at that Wild Foods. Is that the name of that place? Wild Fork. Okay.
Whole Foods has them too.
Who does?
Whole Foods, they have organic grass-fed oxtails.
Do they really?
Yeah, sometimes.
I remember as a kid, I loved oxtails. I don't know why my mom would make that, and that was like, I just remember certain things my mom would make. So I get the oxtails, and I take a crock pot,
I do too.
and then I take one of those bags of collagen or bone broth, put that in there, put some salt in there, and then cook. I'll put it on when I go skiing in the morning and come back, and I've got dinner when I get home, and it's like so amazing, so amazing. Eat nose to tail. That's supposed to say heart, liver, lungs, brain, and testicles. Is that going to be towards the tail, right? Thyroid, liver, like I said, nature's multiple vitamin. Liver raw, 3 to 8 ounces a week. Just pretend it's sushi, right? And then get your omega-3 fatty acids like we were talking about.
What is the soil? Heart and soil.
Yes, and you can also get Saladina promotes heart and soil vitamins. There's supplements you can take you don't have to eat the liver if you don't want to eat it. I mean, as a kid, when I was a weightlifter, we would eat desiccated liver tablets, and we thought that was good for us. Okay.